Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 103 of the KH-Vids Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about back to school for the second time. We did it last year, too. And I guess it's our new tradition thing that we'll do every year. So with us today, you have your usual hosts of myself, Misty.
And me, libregkd.
And me, Calxiyn.
As our staff guest, we have...
Krowley.
Yay! And we don't have a member guest. We're going to talk a little bit about changes to the member guest thing. We talked
again.
a little bit. Yeah, well, I'm going to mention it again, but this time we have like a legitimate excuse, kind of, that we're changing our member guest system. Yep. Okay. So Kingdom Hearts news and updates. We talked about Kingdom Hearts almost entirely last episode. We covered the D23 Expo in California, which gave us the Big Hero 6 news, and that was a big deal. So if you're just listening to us for Kingdom Hearts stuff, maybe check out last week's episode if you haven't. It went up a little late, and that is 100% my fault. Yeah, don't blame Nick for that. It was 100% my fault. Though, in the last few days, Disney revealed some of their plans for D23 Japan. On November 3rd, they will have the Kingdom Hearts premiere theater event with special guests and new footage from the series. I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing in terms of special guests, because, like, when I think about people involved in Kingdom Hearts, like, of course you think Nomura, but he's not big on going to these things, although he did go to the 2.5 launch event,
yeah.
Which was,
that was a surprise.
Out of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise.
That is a big surprise, because he's not into, like, public stuff, if you know him at all. Not, like, personally. I mean, if you do know Nomura personally, like, maybe get in touch with us, but if you know of him as a person. Tai Yasue, I guess, would probably be there.
Yeah. When they said a special guest was coming for D23 in Anaheim, it was Hashimoto.
Okay.
Which,
I guess it's more likely for him to be in the Japan D23.
If I was going to guess, it would probably be Hashimoto again, and maybe Yoko Shinomura.
Okay, that's a good one.
But, yeah. It's hard to, whenever they say special guest, it's always hard to say, like, oh, who could it be?
I kind of let my heart get ahead of me and thought Utada might show up because I just want Utada to come back to us and return to her throne. But that is completely unlikely, and do not ever expect that. And then, just what do you guys think they're going to show as far as the premiere theater event? Because I thought it was weird that they didn't specify, like, we're going to be showing Kingdom Hearts 3, or we're going to be showing Unchained Key, which kind of gave me hope for more about the HD remasters, that either they're doing a Dream Drop Distance one, or that it's coming to the PS4 or something like that. Or maybe they are just going to be showing Kingdom Hearts 3 and they didn't specify it.
Yeah, I have a feeling it may be all of the above.
It is like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's an hour. It's an hour and a half thing, so that's kind of a long time, even if you're just including talks from the special guest or whatever.
Yeah.
That's still a long time to talk about just one thing in specifically. So I wouldn't be... I'm personally guessing that there will for sure be Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff there. And probably a bit of Unchained Key. I'm trying to remember when that actually releases.
Roxanne posted in one of the threads saying it was coming out in September in Japan, and, like, I completely trust Roxanne to be up on that, but I was like, I don't remember that coming out.
I didn't remember that either.
I don't know.
But, my secret hope is that we get some HD PS4 footage stuff or something, because that would be really nice.
Yeah, I was hoping for some world footage, too, from Big Hero 6, maybe.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that would be really nice, since we didn't get any of that at the last D23 Expo. I don't think that new world announcements are likely, just because we had the Big Hero 6 one at Kingdom Hearts 3, and just because...
I think it's very likely.
I don't know.
Because, that's, that November, so that's like 3 months away.
That is true. That is a good gap, and it is like a Disney event, more so than a Square one. Like, I would expect Square to be showcasing, like, the tech, like they did at E3, showing, like, gameplay and stuff, whereas Disney, I would think, would focus more on, like, world announcements, so I guess it is a possibility. I don't know why I feel like that.
If you remember the last episode, I had a hope/feeling that the Japan D23 would have world footage of Big Hero 6 and then world footage of whatever they announced at the Japanese D23. So yeah, for sure we're probably going to get for sure though we're most definitely going to get Kingdom Hearts 3 footage there in some what it is I don't know, but something will be shown there. So
something will happen.
Yes, I mean if you think back on the Japanese D23, was it last year or the year before that was like the first time we got more footage from Kingdom Hearts after their E3 thing.
Are you referring to the train thing with the Rock Titan?
Yeah.
That was like 2 years ago. That was a long time ago.
But either way, it was at D23.
Yes,
that was like our first time getting a more look of it than just a E3 CGI thing.
Yeah, I also hope that possibly we'll, in the Kingdom Hearts 3 footage that they show, we'll get a better look at Sora's outfit and model. Because if you remember when we talked about the E3 trailer, we said that we didn't think that the model for his new outfit was totally finished, that it didn't look very refined, it didn't have much texture to it in a lot of places, and it just looked kind of out of place and janky. So I hope that we will get a better look at that, because I have kind of mixed feelings about the outfit, especially those gloves, and I want those to be resolved.
But that's we have something to look forward to in November, the beginning of November.
It's a sad state of affairs when we're, like, getting excited over something 3 months away. And I don't really see them putting out much news in between that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a possibility they may say something at TGS, but...
Yeah.
Because that's under a month away now, so...
I've just, like, stopped trusting Square to, like, provide news, not just because of how Kingdom Hearts 3 or Kingdom Hearts has been for the past couple years, but just their complete mishandling of Final Fantasy 15 and how they've done the news.
Marlboro.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I think I tweeted about that yesterday, that, like, I am so disillusioned about that game, but that Marlboro was beautiful.
That was the highlight of Gamescom, which is saying a lot.
A nice Marlboro.
I mean, their handling of information has been kind of
terrible.
Weird. But, like, I don't know. They seem to be on the ball with everything else, which is kind of weird.
Puzzling.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, there was that Dragon Quest thing, like, just last month or so, and they're like, oh, look at all this stuff, and we unveiled a new Dragon Quest, and look, we have gameplay of it, and we have gameplay of this, and all this other stuff, and it's coming out next spring. And it's like, okay, you seem to be on the ball with this title, and they seem to be doing okay with the other titles they announced at E3, but it just seems 15 is just weird.
I mean, there are a lot of other issues affecting Final Fantasy 15. It's not just necessarily Square being bad at news. It's just Square.
Square and their Luminous engine.
Square. Oh, Square.
But I think that's the only Kingdom Hearts news we had. It was like, hey, look forward to more news.
Please look forward to it. So that kind of brings us into back to school. Like I said, we did a back to school episode last year around this time of year because it's back to school season. And it's just fun to do back to school episodes. Most of us are students. That's changed in the last year, and I assume that a lot of our listeners are students as well, or at that age and at that place in their lives. So it's topical, even if it's not about Kingdom Hearts. And like I said, we had a full Kingdom Hearts episode last week, so get off of my back.
Cut us some slack.
Not that anybody cares when we go off topic. Nobody has ever complained. It's just I feel the need to defend us. Yeah, so I thought I'd start out our back to school discussion with just updating everyone on where we are scholastically in our lives. What grade are you in? What's your deal?
I have a bachelor in computer science.
Damn!
So I'm technically done with school. If I ever wanted to go for further education, I could.
That's kind of the cool thing about school. You never have to ever stop going. You can just keep getting degrees, which is kind of what I plan to do.
But yeah, I finished my schooling actually last December. So yeah, this is my first fall season where it isn't back to school season for me. It's kind of weird that I'm like, oh, I'm seeing all these people like you, Cassie. You're like, oh, I'm going back to school, and I'm like, well,
you feel like you should be doing something that you're not.
I know. I'm not going back to school because I'm technically done.
Yeah, but as a veteran of school, Nick can give us a lot of great advice on how to get to the finish line.
Yeah, just kind of stumble your way across schooling.
That's really what we're all just doing.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and you, Cal?
I am going into grade 11. I don't know what that is in America, but I only have
16 right now.
No, 15, but all my friends are 16 because my birthday's so late. But yeah, I'm halfway there.
Here.
So
halfway?
Yeah, because, I have this year and then next year and then I'm done high school. So
how is that halfway?
Well, I mean...
Oh, I see, like halfway done with 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like halfway done with like required schooling. I'm like, you've been in school for like 11 years, Cal. Like, even if you went to get your PhD, like, that's still pretty more than halfway. Yeah, so Cal is in high school, so she can provide that perspective for us. 11th grade, actually, I mean, I don't know if it's the same in Canada, I imagine it is, but in America, that is traditionally the year where you take all of your difficult classes, and the year where you have to start, like, looking at colleges and all of that.
It's basically crunch time now.
Yeah.
For pretty much everything, because the universities are going to be looking at your grades from this grade, and it'll probably be a little bit late for them to see your grade 12 marks. So yeah, it's crunch time. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, that is the thing about senior year in high school, that no college really looks at it, so why try?
I didn't. Like, after...
No, I did not either.
Like, after honors English in 11, I just went back to regular English in my senior year.
So that must have been a fun adjustment.
That was... My teacher read books in class to us. Which, that was something. I think, she read Oedipus Rex.
Oedipus, like, the play?
Yeah, the play.
Did she read all of the parts?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that was something.
Yeah. How about you, Crowley?
In terms of where I'm going or what I'm doing?
Like, if you are intending to return to school. Actually, did you go back to... I don't know personally, so go ahead and inform.
I started film school in October, so I'm just sort of dealing with all the financial preparations until then.
Cool. And what are you going to do at film school?
Acting for film and television.
Cool. So maybe I'll see you on the big screen.
I doubt it, but okay.
Dream big, Crowley. Dream big. Unless you're going for more of, like, the indie route, in which case
I don't know yet. I'm just going to go like, hey, if I'm good at something, I'll do that. But I don't know.
There is always hope, Crowley. I'm being inspirational this week. As for me, I have been out of school for the past couple of months. I graduated from community college in December with my 2-year degree in adolescent education with an English emphasis, and I took a semester off, and now I am returning to school. I'm going to a brand new school, which is exciting and scary, and especially scary because it's like a medical school, and it's Stony Brook University. You guys can stalk me easily. It's not hard to find me on Facebook, so I'm going to Stony Brook. And it's like a big school for medicine and like computer science, and I'm going there for English. So that's going to be...
I actually applied there when I was going for colleges.
That's so cool. We could have hung out. We could have hung out in the sack.
Oh. I have, like, this is what I get for staying local. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the Student Activity Center.
Okay.
They call it the sack. It's pretty funny. There's also the Wang Center. I'm too immature to go here.
I can't even remember what ours... I'm trying to remember, like, the student... I think we just called it the student union.
Nope, we're the sack.
Which, that was, like, where everything was. We're like, oh, here's the game room, here's the pool tables, here's the bowling alley. There was just, like, everything just in that one building in the center of campus.
I want a bowling alley.
We had 7 bowling alleys. And there's a lot of times during the middle of the day, they just do, like, the... Night bowling, where they had, like, glow-in-the-dark stuff going all around and lasers.
Black lights.
Yeah. There was a bowling class that I never took.
I took a bowling class, actually, in college. Yeah. So, talking about school, I think that the first thing we need to talk about, and that shouldn't surprise you at all about me, is that this time of year, if you're not going back to, like, I start school tomorrow, but a lot more people have, like, a week or two, is back to school shopping, which is my absolute favorite time of the year. I love back to school shopping. I love going to Omax and cruising the aisles and getting, like, the folders that I want and the exact right notebooks, and especially I am specific about my pens. You have a thing for pens. Yeah, I have a thing for pens, like a really bad thing. And this year I had to special order my pens off of the internet because no stores around here carry them.
That is great.
Because I finally found, like, I think the pen that I might be keeping for the rest of my life. So if you want my pen recommendation, it's the Uniball Signo gel pen. I like the 0.38 thickness, which is why I need to special order them. But so back to school shopping is my absolute favorite thing. I love it. I don't know if you guys share that.
I don't hate it. Like, I'm fine with it, but I'm this weird thing where I'm kind of lazy about shopping. Like, I remember one semester where I technically didn't buy anything for school. I just reused a half-used notebooks, I should say, for my classes that semester, and I still had pens and stuff left over from the previous semester.
That's the horrible and
like
wasteful thing about me, that I have like at least 10 half-used notebooks just sitting under my bed, and I need to buy new ones every semester.
Yeah, it gets really confusing though. Like when I'd open up a notebook and I'm not sure what it's for. Because there'd be like, oh, one page, oh, here's anatomy stuff, and another page, like, oh, here's, like, I don't know, statistics stuff. And then
I could never live like that. It's like giving me anxiety just thinking about that.
What's really bad is that sometimes where I run out of space in a notebook, that I start that same subject, I'll just start in another notebook. And when I was going through my old notes just recently, I was like, there's a single page from my religious diversity class, and it was just one page in this entire notebook that was for that topic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That frightens me so much. I like color code mine. I pick out my folders and then I pick out my notebooks so that I can match them. Like, and
that's another thing. I never had folders
I don't match them. I coordinate them. Like, because I don't want like a blue notebook and a blue folder for one class, because that's too much for me. I like get ones that look pleasing together. It's honestly a sickness. Like, it's horrifying to watch.
I mean,
school supply shop.
on one hand, like, I'm sort of envious that you're very on top of your stuff, but on the other things, like, I'm almost the complete opposite, where I already said the notebook things. I didn't have any folders at all. I've never had folders. Like, I didn't even have a binder or anything. I just kind of put things in my backpack, which is, I will say now, do not do that. But I had a weird...
Do not just throw things in your backpack.
Which I did. I mean, I did that, and I had a system where I knew where things were, but I would recommend taking the extra time to actually organize it. Maybe not be crazy like Cassie, but do take time to organize things and make sure you always know where everything is.
Yeah, being organized is like a really big thing, and I think that it's easier to an extent in high school, because like teachers always hole punched stuff for me in high school and like said like, you need a binder for this class and a binder for this class, and this is how you should like segment your notebook and shit. So like I know that they were trying to prepare you with like good organizational habits and everything, but college, nobody gives a f if you even show up with a notebook to class, which then a lot of people don't. And so it is a big deal to establish organizational skills, I think, and school supply shopping is the first step in that.
Step.
I can't handle the teachers that do that, though. Like, reminding everybody how to organize your binders, it's all good, man. But when your binder needs to be the exact way that they want it, and they won't take any other, like, means of organization, that's when I'm just like, okay, you need to calm down. Because I have my own, like, backward system for everything, and it works for me. But some teachers will look at it and be like, what is this? I have 4 binders for each subject, but the way I take notes and the way I put in notes and all that, it's strange and it's probably bad. But the teachers, I mean, it's been pretty good, but grade 9 year, I was just like, it was bad, because I kind of like was despising all of the teachers because they kept trying to put me into this organization system that just wasn't working, and it was not fun.
Yeah, that's a big thing, that you need to find a system that works for you, and that might not be what the teacher recommends, and it's always frustrating when there's that, like, gap between you and the teacher and you're battling. Binders, though, I feel like binders are such like a high school thing, because like, it's easier to have a binder in high school because you can just like stop by your locker and drop some off and like exchange them and stuff. Whereas in college, you're pretty much carrying everything around with you, and you do not want to have a binder. Although, by the last 2 years of high school, I did not use my locker, so...
I didn't have lockers at my high school.
You didn't have lockers in high school?
No, I did not have lockers in high school.
What did you do with all your stuff?
Define stuff.
Like notebooks and binders.
I kept them in my backpack.
See, we weren't supposed to carry backpacks around with us, like, in the hallways, because they were afraid we were gonna, like, shoot the school up or something.
We had security all around our Which was also my high school was right across the street from the police station.
Oh.
So there's that. It's weird because I know that high school used to have lockers because my dad actually went to the same high school as I did. And you could see where the lockers used to be because there's still a faint outline of kind of the wall they were at.
That's so weird that they would
that is kind of weird.
Like, I feel like that's like a staple of the public school experience.
But yeah, I've never had lockers, and I don't know, the school itself was kind of weird because it honestly felt, going from high school to college, it didn't feel that different for me because how our school was set up, it was a pretty big campus.
A locker, so that's
yeah, there's that, but it was a pretty big campus, and like the entire school was like outdoors.
I guess you live in California, so you can do that.
Yeah, so like if you wanted to go from class A to class B, you'd walk across campus to, like, it'd take maybe a good 5-10 minutes or so to walk from a class to another, and it was just like, oh, I'm all the way out in where there's like these temporary classrooms because they're doing construction. I don't know, like it was always outdoors, and it was always like walking from everywhere, and you weren't ever in like a central building or even just a building with multiple classes in it.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird.
So it sounds like you went to a bigger school. My graduating class was 260 kids. So
yeah, ours was, I think, 800.
Yeah, see that's
or 900 or something
like
that.
I can't even imagine.
Because I think the total student population at my high school was like 4,000.
Oh my god.
People, which that was really weird. I remember one year, because we have, I'm assuming this is for most high schools, but we had separate lunches, so not everybody was out at once.
Yes.
I remember one year I got stuck with a lunch where I knew nobody.
I didn't have friends.
Has happened
so
to me.
Was kind of.
I mean, I had
basically the same thing as me. But
it's
it was
weird.
so weird because, like, you have all of your... I mean, I came with the people that I knew from my elementary school to this school, and there were only 16 of us, and plus 6 of us didn't go to this one, so there were only 10, and then we had applied classes than academic classes, which... Applied's a bit easier, and academic is the one I guess you're supposed to take, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But depending on which class you had, you would be on a different lunch. So if you had something like English for third period, you'd be on the second lunch. But if you had math, you'd be on the first. So it was kind of all of the artsy kids were on the second, and there wasn't a good mix of people because you would either be stuck with everybody that does math and science in that semester or everybody that does, like, the English. And, it's good because you find people that you can connect with, but at the same time, there's no dearth.
I mean, it wasn't so much friends, it was just like, I had a group of people that I talked to, at least in just small talk or whatever. And I didn't have that for a semester. Actually, a year. So that entire year, I had my lunches and I talked to nobody. Like how our lunches in high school were split up was just based on where you were on campus. So like if you had third period on this side of the campus, you had this lunch. If you had a class on the other side of campus for third period, then you had the second lunch.
I was so antisocial and like afraid of lunch that I spent my lunches in the computer lab because I had an with the computer. Department head.
Oh, that was me.
If I could have done that, I would have done that.
Yeah, I did all my homework then though, so it was honestly like an ideal situation.
Yeah, because I didn't really talk much to my teachers. I actually kind of talked to the honors English and the, I guess, AP teachers quite a bit because it was weird. Like, it's weird taking AP classes because it's like a high school class, but kind of not, because class technically ends like a month before school ends.
Yeah,
and then
my AP, I had a lot of friends in AP, and they, for that month before, they took an exam-ish type thing, and then they were starting on the grade 11 AP stuff. And if you were doing grade 11 AP the next year, you would have whatever mark that you had at the end of that in 1 month were there, like, the curriculum for that class ended, so it was really confusing. And but I did the same thing as you, Misty, sitting in the computer lab because I had media arts, but all my AP friends were gone and they spent their time in the AP lunchroom. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just go hang out in the media arts room for a bit, I guess. So, I mean, you eat where you can, man.
Yeah, and I will actually say going to AP classes also kind of made it easier transitioning to university, because
Oh yeah, definitely.
a lot of my AP classes treated it just like a college class, where they just like, I wouldn't say they didn't care, but it was very, you can sense that it wasn't a strict curriculum type thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so that is one thing I think that we should talk about, kind of transitioning from high school to college. And it is definitely easier if you've taken AP classes in high school, and if you're not familiar with the AP system, I guess for like international people or whatever, it lets you take college classes in high school, obviously at a slower pace, and it's sometimes a little bit of a different curriculum, but you do get college credit going into college, and that's really nice because then you don't have to take those classes in college and you get like a head start. So it is really useful, and it does kind of give you a taste of college, I guess, before you go to college, but it is definitely a task to transition from college to high school. Like we said, like they don't handhold you as much, you know, they're not going to tell you like you need to have a binder for this class and this is how you should organize it. They
didn't, like I mean, this obviously isn't indicative of all college courses either, but like my AP history classes, and I think my econ classes as well, like they didn't have assignments, so to speak. They kind of just had notes, and then you had tests that you had to take.
Yeah, homework is like a thing with college too. I mean, like
it depends on the class.
Some classes do online homework, which is the absolute worst thing, where you have to like log onto this website and do like hours of stuff all the time. You use a lot with like math classes and with foreign language classes.
I actually had to do it a lot with my science courses, and oddly enough, my like philosophy courses.
I've never taken a science class in college. Actually, I took anatomy and physiology, but that was a weird class for a lot of reasons. But I never had like homeworks, I guess, with philosophy, because a lot of the time the homework is just do the readings and write the papers, which, you know, that sounds great to high school students that like come home with like 6 worksheets every day that they have to do, but it is a lot of work. It is.
Yeah, papers are...
Papers...
I mean, it depends on how much you like writing and stuff. Yeah,
and so for me, like writing papers is... I love to write papers, so like...
See, it's weird because I do too. I just don't do it a lot because my major didn't really require me to write papers.
Oh yeah, my classes, they're like 6 papers every semester. And again, that doesn't sound like that much, but these were like 5-page papers and like on dense literary work, so it was a lot of work.
Like the writing I did in university had a lot to do with technical writing.
Yeah.
And technical writing and writing like almost like user manuals for things, which that's not the most fun thing to do because you aren't doing even in essays you're still sort of creative with how you're writing your essay. But with technical manuals and stuff like that, it's like the most I don't want to say dull, but it's dull.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But
I honestly miss writing papers. Like, I miss being in school. I'm really happy to be going back to school, but I miss writing papers almost especially. And I was thinking about it. The last paper I wrote was over a year ago, because my last semester at community college, I was only taking 2 classes, and one of them was a gym class, and the other was a foreign language class, and I did not have to write papers in either. So I really miss writing papers, and I'm a little afraid that I'm going to be rusty going back in, which is bad because I'm taking 2 English classes this semester.
Yeah, like going back to like all my papers and stuff, like I really enjoyed my first semester in university, and I had a English composition course as my like I guess my general ed English thing.
Yeah.
I really like my professor. Her name was Professor Chapman, and she was really cool. And like it was technically my first university course because I had that class in the morning on my first day there. That kind of paved the way for the rest of how I would kind of like university.
Yeah.
She also complimented me on my essay writing skills, which that made me feel really good.
It's really important to be able to write a paper. Like, and it's formulaic to an extent. And I don't like saying that because then a lot of people think like, okay, so this is like what I need in this order and I'm just going to do that for every paper. And that's a really dangerous way of thinking, and I don't like to encourage that. But it is sort of, once you learn how to do it, there's a pattern to it. There's a pattern to it, and there is like a very definite way that you go about it, and it can be different for each person, but once you find kind of your correct way, it helps so much. And so I do think that we should encourage everyone to use campus resources for everything,
Yes.
but especially for writing. Most schools have like a writing center or a tutoring center or something that you can go to, and they will help you with that. Because if you can't write papers, I'm going to tell you, you're going to hate college. Like, yes, you might be in a major where you don't have to write that many papers, but you will
Like
still
me.
have to write some, and it's to your benefit to learn how to do it.
Like, I mean, as I mentioned, I had those papers, but I also, because I missed sort of writing a lot, that I ended up taking a creative writing class as a art general ed class. And that was really fun because that was, I mean, creative writing is something completely different from essay writing, but it was fun to actually still write again. And like, I made short stories. Like, I made like a 13-page short story or something like that. That was really fun. I'd probably do that course over again because that was actually kind of a really interesting course. That it was still fun actually like thinking it out and writing something from, you know, your imagination, I guess you can say.
Yeah. And I also always encourage people to take things outside of their major. Like, you're kind of forced to with the way that college is set up to, you know, you have to take like an art elective even if you're a computer science major like Nick. But like, really experiment, because you can take some weird and fun classes in college.
I took a pagan culture class.
I took a Breaking Bad class and a Harry Potter class.
See, our class, I mean, to be fair, I didn't look too deep into
course
what
catalog.
our university offered, but like, I took some interesting, just like, what's this? This seems interesting. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, I did that with that pagan culture class. I did that with my space and aeronautics class.
It's fun. It's like, college is a time to, I think, figure out yourself and what you're interested in and explore those interests. So, like, do something that you don't think that you would have in another case, especially if, like, you're undecided in terms of a major. Just take some random stuff, because you never know what is going to grab you, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because there's always, you could, even if it doesn't, like, change your...
Yeah, even if you're not, like planning to do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you could still find, like, oh, I'm interested in this, actually. And it's it's one of the reasons why I took a lot of history courses in university as well, because turned out I really love history. And like, I didn't need to, but I guess technically I needed to fill a thing, but I chose this specifically to fill it. I took like a modern European history course, which that was fun.
Yeah.
See, I was trying to do that while picking courses for grade 11, because I wanted to... There's a lot more courses now when you get into grade 11 and 12 than there were in the previous years, but the problem is our school's so small, and a lot of the kids are kind of science bound, so like AP Math and AP Science, those are all courses there, but not as many kids are taking things like the arts and history, and so I took Writer's Craft, but then they canceled that course because they didn't have enough people. Well, they say they didn't, but then they called 30 of us down to guidance for us to change that, and that would have been enough for a class, but I don't know what they were doing. And
that
then,
always drove me crazy about high school.
It's
signed
so
up
sad too, because I had that, and then I had space science, which I thought was pretty freaking cool, but then they canceled that one too, and I'm just, it's so weird, because we have a giant theater in our school, but we don't have an arts program anymore, and people think that our school is the art school because we have the theater, but our drama teacher and all of the other teachers really haven't been doing anything in terms of plays and shows and stuff like that, because the teachers are striking here, if anybody pays attention to Canada. So when they strike, they're not allowed to do anything outside of their school hours, and so they haven't been doing stuff the past few years because they kept thinking that they were going to go on strike and they didn't want to start something. So it really sucks that we kind of got, I feel, cheated of our art activities. But it's what you make it, right? Like, I think I still have world history there, which is going to be fun, and hopefully it'll, it opens your mind, right? So just find a course that you can take that's a bit different than what you're doing. I mean, I tried, but I
Yeah, in high school, to be quite honest, our high school didn't have a lot of interesting extra type of courses you can take. Like, the only computer course was, like, a word processing course, which that's, like, I don't need to know that.
We have a couple, actually. We have web design, then, programming, and then I think there's one more, but I don't remember it I think it's just, like, actually building the computer, so...
Yeah,
my high school had none of that. Like, we had one computer lab, and it was all for just that, here's how you use Word and Excel and PowerPoint, which that really bummed me out because there was really, like, the extracurricular type classes I took ended up being, like, financing, like how to, like, personal financing type stuff, which, like, okay, that's sort of neat to know, but, like, that's kind of not fun.
Really? Finance isn't fun?
That was a really interesting class where I just kind of sat in class on my phone and just whatever.
Yeah. I signed up for, like, mythology classes in high school and creative writing classes, and I had the same problem as Cal, where, like, not enough people signed up, so we didn't run them. I ended up taking a lot of good computer courses in high school because my high school did offer them. And so, like, I don't regret that or anything. I just kind of wish that I could have taken other stuff. Yeah, I had the benefit of I live in a pretty upper class neighborhood, so the school is really well funded, and they had a really dedicated computer program. So, like, I took computer maintenance classes where you learned how to build computers, and I took a lot of computer networking classes. I know a lot about computer networking, and that knowledge is just useless to me right now. But
you never know.
No, I know it, and I've always treated it as something, like, to fall back on if the whole being an English teacher thing turns out to be as irresponsible as everybody tells me it is. But yeah. So it's not useless, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I do also want to talk about kind of the outside of academia. I mean, of course, getting involved, I think, is a really, really big thing. And Cal kind of touched upon that with, like, the drama thing, how she's disappointed that she can't do more. But in high school, I never got involved in anything. I did, like, one-act plays, and that was, like, low commitment enough for me to do it, so I did that twice.
I mean, at least you did that. I didn't even do something like that.
I would not count that as, like, much of anything.
Yeah, I quite honestly didn't do anything. Like, I wasn't in any clubs in high school. I didn't do any, I guess, extra stuff outside of just schoolwork. You weren't on the
football team or anything, Nick?
No.
Yeah.
No.
See, the thought is funny. Yeah, but, so I never got involved in high school, and I know I joke, like, I had no friends, ha 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 ha, and, like, probably part of it is that I did not get involved with anything. There are other reasons, too, but part of it is just that I did not join any clubs or anything, and so when I went to college, I really wanted to change that, so I joined my school's feminist magazine, and that turned out to be a really great experience. I got close with my faculty advisor. I met some really cool people. I read some really cool stuff. I was the editor for a year, which was really exciting and neat. I joined the women's club, which was like a discussion-based feminism thing, and we accomplished some really cool stuff. We changed some things.
Sensing a pattern here.
We talked to the administration about some things and got some things changed that shouldn't have been happening on the campus. We passed out Planned Parenthood pamphlets one day, which was actually like a good trip, like just like walking around and walking up to random people saying like, have you evaluated your birth control needs? And that was just fun. Yeah, so, and I hope to get involved in my new school too. I haven't decided what I want to do yet, but they do have a radio station. So, and
do it, Misty, do it.
Yeah, like it should be obvious based on like how I go on the podcast and how obsessed I am with music, but it's always kind of been a hidden like dream of mine to be on the radio. Like and you know, it's like my two favorite things: making people listen to me talk and forcing people to listen to my music. So, you know, maybe catch me on the sound waves around Long Island. So I really encourage everyone to get involved and just see what their school has to offer.
Like as I mentioned, I didn't do anything in high school, and unfortunately, I didn't do much in university as well, which I kind of regret. Yeah, it's weird. There's reasons why I ended up not doing much in university, but like if I could have, I would have, type thing.
It's hard when you're a commuter at some schools. Like it was easier with the community college that I went to because everyone was a commuter, and so they designed their extracurricular activities around that. But my sister went to Stony Brook, which is where I'm going next semester, and she looked into joining some clubs, but they met like Wednesday nights And that's convenient for residents because you don't really have classes then. You're not really doing anything. You're not like going out and partying.
Some people didn't have classes at Wednesday night.
Some people have classes on Wednesday night, and some people go out drinking on Wednesday night. And that is a different lifestyle. But that is a challenge if you're a commuter because you're probably not on campus around that time. Yeah.
I actually, because there was a radio station at our school as well, except I think they specialized in jazz music.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I think even, like, the call number type thing was, like, jazz or something like that. Like, where that radio station was located was near the library, so I went past it a few times, and I don't know. Like, the most stuff I've ever done was whenever I was at the student union, and I ended up, like, I had time to kill, so I ended up playing, like, a game of pool, and somebody kind of pops up, like, hey, do you mind if we play a game? Because I was just playing by myself, because it's like, who am I going to play with? And sometimes somebody would pop by, like, hey, do you mind if I join? And, like, sure, whatever. That was, like, my extent of
that was
stuff.
your socializing.
Yeah, like, because, I mean, I sometimes stopped by there's a computer robotics club in the engineering department, but I ended up going there originally because they sold food for, like, really cheap. Like, they sold, like, bags of chips and sodas and stuff like that for, like, a lot cheaper than the vending machines around campus. So I ended up always just kind of stopping by there and buying something, and ended up, talking to people there.
Yeah. And
them doing stuff, and that room was always filled with computer parts and wires and robotics parts, and sometimes I wondered if they're, like, half the time I didn't know exactly what they were doing with all those parts, but it was still sort of fun going with that.
That was kind of how I ended up joining the women's club at my community college. That, like, I went there just for one meeting. They were talking about video games, actually. Women's portrayal in video games. So, like, I saw the flyer for it. I'm like, yeah, why not? I'll show up. And so I went to one meeting, and, like, I talked to the people there and, like, got along with them. And they're like, we like you, so please come back. That's how I joined the women's club.
Yeah, like, I a lot of the semesters when I had classes, I had these really huge, like, downtimes between classes. Where it didn't make sense for me to go home and drive back.
Because it wastes gas.
Yes. So a lot of the time I ended up either sometimes just sitting around in like a club area, even though there wasn't a club going on, but it was just kind of their room. But a lot of the time I also was just in one of the many computer labs because free computers for, an hour.
Yeah.
I can be on the internet for an hour and that would be like nothing.
Yeah.
Though it gets weird because, those computer labs have classes that take place in them eventually. So there's this sudden, like, migratory pattern where I go from one computer lab to another computer lab to another computer lab during the course of the day. Though a lot of the times that the professors and teachers and stuff are like, so long as you aren't making noise, just continue doing what you're doing. I don't really care.
Yeah. So you can solo roll through school if you want to. I do encourage people to get involved, though. I was really happy that I changed that in college. I do want to say also, because I went to my school's orientation yesterday, and
orientation.
Yeah, so we talked about a lot of things, and of course when you go to college you do kind of have to balance an on-campus social life, and this goes for high school too, and of course things like drinking and drugs are a big problem, and especially in the last few years sexual assault on campus has been in the news, and not in the news for frightening reasons because colleges cover up those stories and statistics, but just be careful, everyone. Please watch out. There are a lot of resources out there to help you to recognize situations that you should not be in, and just use common sense. Go out with buddies. Don't take drinks from people. Don't leave your drink unattended like that Lifetime movie. All of this stuff, I feel the need to mother our listeners a little bit and say that just please be careful.
Yeah,
and it's not just college. It's like in my high school too. It was a problem. I think, one of my friends actually that she was on student council, but she was harassed in the hallway, and the school suspended him for like 3 days. And I was just like, call the police. What are you doing? Like, a suspension it's a holiday. That's not punishing him. Like, to be off school for 3 days, I mean, that's nothing. And I mean, I've been not harassed in the hallway, but people will, like, boys will not make fun of me, but they'll do strange things. But I've never been like, she was like pushed up against a wall. I have never been like that or anything.
It doesn't have to be.
It's really weird, and I didn't say anything to my teacher when it happened, because I mean, I kind of got a laugh out of it just because they were just like singing down the hallway and just kind of looking at me weird. But I mean, if you're in a situation where you feel like that your safety is being compromised, and even if it's not, just, you know, it's good to tell the teachers when that stuff happens. So
yeah, it doesn't even have to be just like sexual harassment or anything. If you're being bullied or harassed or anything like that, get help, because there are campus resources or school resources to help you with that and address the situation, or even take it to the police if it's that bad, because that is really serious. And school is so important, and it's such a great opportunity and a great thing to have it ruined by something like that is just horrible, and you should definitely avoid that. So to end on a more cheery note, I thought that or maybe not, depending on how you take this, I thought that we would ask your best and worst school experiences, or just one of each, or one or the other.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I can immediately go into my worst. It's mostly I think it was my third year in university. It was for my database course, which, first off, the professor for that he knows his stuff, but he wasn't good at teaching what he knows, which is always really frustrating, because you know he knows a lot, and you know he could potentially teach you a lot, but he doesn't do it very well. But for that class, there was basically a semester-long project. Basically, he split the class into groups of like 5, and by about the midway point in that semester, 2 of the 5 people in my group dropped that class, and there was no one else to really pick up the slack, so we're basically a group of 3 doing the work of what a group of 5 would have been doing. And then it turns out one of my other group members he did like diagramming for kind of the database, some layout and stuff like that, but beyond that he didn't do anything else for that project. And so it was just basically me and this other guy actually creating the database and inputting like hundreds and hundreds of just data points. We were just doing database entries for God knows how long. And we ended up coming in on class on the very last Friday of that semester, because that was when it was due. And we spent another 6 hours on Friday just filling everything in and making sure everything was working. And that was the worst thing. Actually, let me step back a bit. That same semester, I should just file this entire semester under my like worst semester or something. That same semester, I had another class that was for computer engineering something. I forgot the entire full title of the course, but that also had a semester-long project for the course, and we were doing stuff. We're creating like manuals and like design documents and stuff like that for basically a game of Monopoly. And then about halfway through the semester, he said, "Oh, did I not tell you actually had to program this thing?" And so about halfway through the semester, we needed to start programming a game of Monopoly, me and a partner. And we were kind of really stressing out about that, and I was stressing out even more because I was stressing out about that project that we didn't know we actually had the program until like halfway through, and I was stressing about my database program because like people dropped out and I had a useless team member. And then about a day before that project was due, word got out that because of kind of the state of everybody's stuff, he was going to just make that an extra credit project, which, I mean, on one hand I was relieved because like if we do bad on this, it isn't going to affect us negatively. On the other hand, we spent a lot of time to actually creating a working game of Monopoly. And it turns out like, hey, I didn't need to stress out about this. And I didn't need to put off other projects for other courses because apparently this one doesn't count as an actual grade. That was a really bad semester, actually. There's my moments of that, just an entire semester of just being bad courses, of projects either not turning out as well as they should, or people dropping, or people just, I don't know. I hate it, but on the same time I don't hate it too much because I can laugh about it now. But yeah, at the time I was just like, oh my god, this is the worst thing. Yeah, should we all do worst and then circle around into best? That way we have yeah. So Cal, worst?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know how many people I've told this story to, but I mean, I laugh about it now, but it was kind of traumatic, to be honest. But basically, I keep stuff like Aleve and Advil and all that fun medical stuff. I have like a first aid kit type thing in my lunchbox. This does relate to this eventually. But on exam days, you don't bring in your lunch or anything like that because, you're not eating lunch at school, you just go home. after your exam's done. So I didn't bring it, and when I got to school, I was having really bad, stomach cramps, and during my history exam, I didn't have any medication for it. So the exam was really easy because our teacher, he just he gave us basically the exam to fill out, and then we just needed to memorize it and then write it down back. So I was done in 30 minutes, and I think I got a 98 on the exam, but I was dying. Well, it felt like I was dying because I had such bad cramps, and there was nothing that I could do for it. So basically, I took a walk. I tried to listen to music, but the school's Wi-Fi wasn't working. They turned it off because you don't want people cheating during the exam or whatever. So it's not like I could have distracted myself. So I just kind of went inside of the bathroom and started to cry because it was so bad. And I called my mom, and my mom's just okay, well, just last until you get home. And I was like, thanks, Mom. That's so supportive right now. But somebody heard me in the bathroom, and one of the teachers came and were like, well, are you okay? And I was just like, nope. And so I stayed with that teacher, and then the principal of the school, who was just new, he came upstairs with a wheelchair because
oh my God.
He didn't know what was wrong. He took my stuff, I put it on my lap, and wheeled me out of, this was on the second floor, so wheeled me into the elevator, then down to the office-ish area, where I actually saw one of my friends down there, and I was just like, oh God, now this person thinks I'm weird because I'm being wheeled out into the office, and they weren't one of my close friends, so I was like, okay, well, there goes that, never talking to that person again, because it was embarrassing. And then the principal's like, well, the teacher didn't tell me, so what's wrong with you? And I had to explain to him, and he was just like, oh. And he looked kind of surprised, and I'm like, you don't understand, sir, okay? And then they called my mom, and my mom's just like, well, there's nobody that can drive her home. And they didn't want me going on the bus because I was really, dizzy and out of it. So I was just kind of lying in pain in the office until somebody could go get me. And I actually stayed longer than I would have if I had just gone onto the bus.
That's horrible.
But it was the worst thing in my life. And then when I saw the teacher again, because we went in to look at our exams, he's like, why didn't you tell me you were sick? You didn't have to write the exam. And I did good on it anyway, because it wasn't that bad when I was actually writing. It was after. And he was like, well, I'm glad you're okay. And I'm like, oh, sorry, sir. He was kind of traumatized by it too, and that was probably just the worst thing ever, because I was embarrassed, and then I just never went into the office again, because now they know me there too. So it was bad. I laugh about it now, but it's just one of the worst things. And a lesson that can be taken: bring your medication to school, whether it's EpiPens or anything. Just bring it, okay? Even if you don't think you need it. So bring it. Bring it with you.
Yeah. Crowley?
Like me, man.
I'm trying to recall my high school years, actually. Mine was kind of just a 4-year blur, so you can just come back to me. I'm trying to think of them still.
Okay. All right. My worst experiences, originally I had one written down, but Cal's story brought up 2 stories, and so I'll keep them brief. The first one was in high school. My first 2 APs ever were AP US History and AP English, and the day of them, I had my period really badly, bad cramps, just awful feeling, and a very high fever. So I was pretty delirious, and I really don't remember these exams very well. I do know that one of my essays on the English AP was mildly racist, and I don't consider myself a racist person, but it just, I don't know, it came out because of the fever, and it was really bad. I'm still surprised that I did so well in those APs, because I just felt horrible, and afterwards I just bailed on that day of school. I just left after the test because it was so bad. The second one that Cal's story reminded me of was I took a spin class my last semester at community college.
I actually know this story.
Yeah, because this was really serious. Spin is like spinning, you sit on the stationary bike, and it goes hard. I don't know if you guys know that, but it goes hard. This is a strenuous activity that you're doing. I would leave every day drenched in sweat. But the first day, not only am I in not great physical shape, but this day I was sick. I had a cold, and I hadn't really eaten that morning. And so it was the first day that we were actually like spinning. I got on the bike, probably about 3 minutes passed, and I was like having trouble breathing. And I figured it was just like normal, so I kind of like took down the intensity and like tried to keep going. And then I started to feel dizzy and my vision started to go. And so I knew that this was like serious and that I needed to stop. So I just like feebly raised my hands, and it was dark in the room too because we kept the lights off while we spun to just not have that heat. So it was like dark in the room. There's really loud music playing. I'm like in the back of the room. And so like I feebly raise my hands and my instructor looks at me and I'm just like, I don't feel well. And she could tell that I was just not in a good place, so she came over, lifted me off the bike. Basically, like, I tried walking, but she was more or less carrying me, like, to a little bench in the room, and I just, like, sat there and tried not to pass out. I was, like, sipping water and, like, trying not to die, and the class kept going, and, like, my instructor kept saying, like, don't look at her, don't worry about her, it's all okay, like, not in a mean way, but everybody was, like, of course, distracted by me.
Yeah.
By me, like, trying not to die in the front of the classroom, and it was terrible, and I was so anxious about like going back because I didn't want that to happen again, and I knew that everybody would be like looking at me like, that's the girl that almost passed out, and it was so bad. I was fine. It turns out that it's just the colds that I had, and I mean, I'm not in great shape, and I do have, like, blood pressure problems, but as long as I just drank juice after the class, I was fine. I would carry juice boxes around with me. Yeah. And then the last story, which is a little bit funny, the first day of classes at community college, it wasn't my first semester, but it was the first day of classes, probably, like, my third semester. It poured, like downpoured, and this is when I still had my old car, which was a convertible, and there was
I also know this story.
Was a hole, like the window and the roof was not sealed properly, so as you drive in the rain would leak through and onto you, so that alone was not good on my drive into school that day. So I drove with menstrual pads taped to my window because that's all that I had to try to like soak up some of the rain, and that helped a little bit. I still got pretty wet. So I get out of my car, it's pouring, and I need to get to my class. So I walk through the pouring rain. My umbrella broke on the way there. I didn't have like a raincoat or anything. I was wearing like cloth shoes and jeans and a t-shirt.
This sounds like something out of like a book.
It was horrible. It was so bad. It was just everything wrong. And so I get into the classroom, sit down, I'm like drenched, like soaking wet. There's a puddle forming below me, and like I swear not 5 minutes after the class started, the sun came out, and it was beautiful for the whole rest of the day, and I was so angry. So that's where I learned and where I developed the habit of, like Cal carrying medication around with her, I keep, like, an extra pair of pants and shoes and socks and underwear and just, like, basically a change of clothes in my car, just so I have it at all times and I can avoid that situation from ever happening again. And, yeah, those are my worst experiences. Also, my pants ripped down the ass in 5th grade. Yeah, so...
But, I mean, your car thing, that's happened with my car before, where it just flooded, and, like, luckily for me, it was only the passenger side.
Oh, well, this was the driver's side. The passenger side was completely dry.
Yeah, for me, I was lucky that it was just the passenger side, but there was, like, an actual, like, pool of water on the passenger side, which that's kind of awful on, even though I'm not getting wet, that's still something you don't want just sitting in your car.
It was terrible. It was so bad. It smelled. Yeah. It's like, it's really bad. Crowley, you got anything, or should we loop around to best experiences?
There was, like, I wouldn't exactly say it's a really bad experience, but I felt really bad about it, because, like, I'm a pretty, like, big and tall guy, so I guess, I don't know, one day I was just walking down this was, I think, my 11th year in high school, like, the 11th year, but, like, 3rd year in high school. Anyways, I just turn around, some, like, small little white girl just, like, crashes into me, and her friends pick her up and look at me like I tackled her or something like that. And they're like, and I'm just like, oh my god, why would he do that? And I never really talked a lot in high school, so I didn't like defend myself or anything. I'm just like, and I was wearing a football jersey too, so I probably looked like a very stereotypical, like, douchebag jockey guy. So that was one embarrassing moment. I think the next embarrassing moment actually happened later on that day. We had a game against, I don't know, some other school. It's a blur. Anyways, I'm on the offensive line, so I guess I'm beside. My position is the guard, so it's the guy beside the one who lets the ball. In case, like, you probably don't know. Anyways.
I know things about football. Go on.
Okay, I don't, this is just for anybody, really. I don't know. Anyways,
like me.
anyways, like, I think my, like, the belt or whatever held my pants up was, like, ripped or something like that.
Oh, no.
So, oh yeah, you can see where this is going. So I successfully guarded the guy, and, the play was to defend the guy who's running with the ball, so I'm, like, running, and eventually my pants start falling down to my knees, and I keep running, and it's just I hear laughing, and I'm just like, shut up, just keep running. And I got the guy down, and we got the touchdown, but at the same time, that was probably the most just embarrassing moment I just ever had in high school.
Yeah. And then best experiences. I guess we'll go in the same order.
Best is a bit harder because I never look at anything as being...
something cool or rewarding that you did.
I mean, if I'm going to say best, I would say probably my... I'm trying to remember what that class was technically called. But basically, it was I think that the class was technically called, like, Java 3 or something like that. But basically, it was, like, my third year, or my third semester of taking a Java class in university. And I really enjoyed the teacher. She was technically teaching, like, I forget what the entire story of why she was teaching, but she was still going to school. I think she was going for her master's, but she was teaching a undergraduate course. And I've had her before. Like, I've had her for my first semester of Java, but basically that entire course we were making games in Java. And she was, like, really cool about it, and she was also, like, really good at just teaching you about stuff. And, like, our first game in that course was a Star Wars choose your own adventure text adventure game. And then the last one was oddly like a galactic version of Risk, where we made planets, and then you had troops that you sent to planets, and you tried to take over planets and stuff like that. And that entire course is probably my favorite course that I took at university because of kind of the assignments, but also because of the teacher and just kind of her and how she taught. And she had really good notes that she handed out. Like, I went back because she was teaching other courses that I didn't have the... Actually, there was a course that I was taking, and I took the course at this specific time because she was going to teach it. But the day class began, she switched off with somebody else, and I was really disappointed about that. But the person I had didn't produce that. Her notes weren't that good, so I ended up going to her, and I just got her notes for that particular course because I still have them too because they're really good reference material as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed classes with her and stuff like that.
Neato. Cal?
Well, I mean, last year as a whole was a really good year for me, because I made friends, and that did not happen in grade 9 at all, so I feel like this year I'm gonna try to aim, like, the next step up from making friends would probably be joining clubs. So, I mean, most of the stuff at our school is sports-oriented anyway, but I'm sure that I can figure out something. But yeah, I mean, I think, other than, like, just as a whole making friends out of the people in my classes, it was also just participating more in class. I felt like that was pretty good for me. And even talking to some of the people that weren't in my grade at all, I mean, I met a couple people that were in the media arts lab in the morning that were in grade 12, and they were into Kingdom Hearts and stuff, so that was, that's always fun. Just interacting with people in general. It was good. That last year was a pretty good year. And I actually got on honor roll this year, I think.
Woo!
So, I'd say that was probably just the best experience of actually, like, going through the marks and calculating it, because they don't tell you until the first couple weeks of school, and being like, hell yeah, I did. or, something like that. So it was just, grade 10 was a pretty good year all around, so hopefully I can have the same kind of year this year. So,
well, congratulations, and get your friends to listen to the KH-Vids podcast if they like Kingdom Hearts. And
we always talk about Kingdom Hearts on this podcast.
Yeah, we do. Case in point, this week. And also, participating in class is a big thing that we didn't talk about, but I never talked in class in, my first couple years of high school, and then eventually I stopped giving a shit and started talking in class, and it's so much fun. You care so much more about the class, when you participate in it, and I really enjoy participating in class these days. Mostly English class. Math class, I just sit quietly in the corner. But yeah, that's, yeah. My best experiences, the Planned Parenthood thing was pretty fun, like I said. I guess I kind of have two. Being editor of my school's feminist magazine was really rewarding because, it was like a feminist literary magazine, so it was a lot of people talking about, their life experiences and how they've kind of been empowered, through, facing injustice. So it would focus on, of course, women, but also, people of color and just people like immigrants and a lot of that sort of thing. So it was really rewarding to kind of give them a platform to speak, I guess, and to be able to circulate that and let them share their stories and to have them affect, students, because then, I would read the letters to the editor that we would get, and they would say, thank you so much for publishing this magazine, and, I really related to a lot of the stories in it, and they, made me think about my life and what I'm doing and how just to approach these situations. So that was really, really rewarding, to be able to do, and I was really happy with that. Also, my last, full semester at community college, I took an English class called, Contemporary Global Literature, and we read a lot of really interesting books that the professor picked out, and Persepolis, which was really cool, and Nervous Conditions, and just a lot of really great stuff that we read. And I really, really loved the professor. She was just every day really engaging and upbeat, and she picked great things for us to read, and we had just phenomenal discussions, and she was really encouraging. And so I really liked her. And then the last day of classes, when we were taking our final, she pulled me aside and she's like, I just finished reading your last paper for this class, and it was really insightful, and I think that you should absolutely pursue English education, because she knew that that's what I was going to school for. And she offered me, if I find any teaching work, I'll send it your way. And she was just really, really sweet. She gave me this really nice talk about how special I was, and it sounds braggy to recite that now, but it really meant a lot to me that she said all of that as a professor that I really respected and that I would hope to emulate one day. So that was a big thing for me.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, people really like me, I guess.
Contrary to
how I'm treated on KH-Vids. No, I'm kidding. So Crowley.
Graduation was pretty good. I don't know. I also got a small little I guess it's a grant or something like that of just $1,000 for my work in drama. So I felt very confident in that, because after graduation I didn't really know what to do, and then I looked more into drama, and it's something I enjoy doing and something I like to do. So then I sort of worked on the path to try and get back into that.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah, so that's our back to school episode, I guess. If you have any questions or need any advice about school, please do feel free to ask us and share with us your school experiences and your advice to all students, really, of all kinds. Yeah. So that brings us to user-submitted questions. To submit a question to the KH-Vids Podcast, all you have to do is fill out the form link to every episode of the podcast or send an email to podcast@KH-Vids.Net. The questions can be directed towards hosts in particular or the group in general, and they can cover Kingdom Hearts, the KH-Vids, to our lives in general. So, the first question comes from Graxy, and he asks, where was the whale going when you last saw it? It was still in the sky when I saw it a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what this means.
I don't know either.
It
but
sounds like a monster. Yeah. I was
gonna say. The only thing that's coming to my mind right now is Metal Gear Solid 5, and only because that's just kind of on my mind in general, because that's coming out in the first, so just a couple of more days. I'm really excited for that. But yeah. I just remember the reveal trailer for that had this weird fiery space whale in it, and yeah. That's the only thing that's coming to mind.
So I guess we'll file that under another indecipherable Graxy question. The next question is from Nobody's Light, and they ask to everyone, have you played or do any of you play the Candy Crush games, Clash of Clans, or Farmville?
I played Candy Crush for a brief period of my life. I don't know. Like, it's just a standard match 3 type game that gets progressively harder and harder until they try to lure you into buying their, like, power-up type things. Mm-hmm. But, like, besides that, it's just kind of like, it's a match 3. I know how these work. I've played Bejeweled before. But I've also played Clash of Clans for a little bit, too, just because I saw something on it. And that's kind of the same deal, except instead of a match 3, it's like a base-building thing. And I hate those type of free-to-play games are the worst because, like, you build something and it says, oh, this will be built in, like, 3 minutes. Or you can pay now and it'll be built now. And as you progressively upgrade things, it's like, oh, this thing will be built in 6 days. At that point, it's just like, whatever. I don't care. Bye.
We have a really bad, like, Clash of Clans group at our school, and it's kind of funny, but they're all kind of, I don't know, I think they're kind of jerks, and I think that, well, it's sort of weird, man, because you see the people in your school that play these types of games, and they all have their own little cliques and stuff, because we bring our phones to school, and I guess, I don't know, that's how people bond, but I cringe when I hear Clash of Clans, just because of some of the people in there, but,
it's not a good game, so
no.
There's that. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I always try out these free-to-play games whenever I hear them, just to try them out, because it's free, and I have a lot of time on hand anyway, so why not?
I'm not big on playing mobile games, so I've never played the ones that were mentioned, but I have a mild addiction to Flow, which is the game where you have the grid and there are like colorful dots on it and you need to connect them all while using all
and you need to connect them in one go or else you aren't doing it right.
Yeah, you have to get them perfect. And so I have like a really bad addiction to that, and I've been through 3 phones in the last year. I'm on my 3rd, and so your progress doesn't get saved, like, between them. It's saved to the phone. So every time I've had to, like, redo these puzzles on my current phone, which is, like, new and nice and that I'm taking good care of, I have 9 levels left before I have to, like, actually buy more. And if you've ever played Flow, you know that means that I've played about 2,000 levels of this.
You're insane.
And Misty, no.
And I've had this phone since the middle of June. So that should tell you something.
I understand, though, because this was a while ago, but back when I guess when I used to go to my dad, so maybe when I was around 8, he is injured. Like, he has a problem with his knee and his hip. He's basically just kind of unhealthy and, like, broken everything.
Wow.
So he has basically nothing to do all day, and so what he did for a really long time was Facebook games. So Farmville, Cafe World, all come to mind. There was a fish tank one that I think he liked too, and he would just play those a lot, and so when I was over there, I would play them a lot too, so I had a bit of a Farmville Cafe World addiction, because I would play on his, like, really fancy leveled up account type thing, and, yeah, it was just, I stopped after a while just because it was a little bit ridiculous, because, like, when you get high enough in Farmville, like, you have so many crops to do, and it was too much work, so I was like, okay, Dad, have fun. I think now he was playing, like, World of Tanks or something, and I don't know what that is, but, it reminded me of the Farmville addiction, and I don't know, maybe I should try to get him to play League or something. Some other
That's
thing.
the worst hole to go down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going down that hole, so I feel like I should drag someone else with me.
Can't lose you.
I know, it's the RP cult, Misty. they took me here, but yeah, I mean,
everybody knows you should be playing Dota instead.
Obviously.
Dota's worse.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Let's just try not playing the video game.
The Flow thing is really bad. Like, I need to quit. I think that once I perfect, like, all of the puzzles that they have given me, that I will be free, maybe. But it's really terrible. Like, people text me at like 3 a.m. and I reply to them and they're like, why are you up? And I'm like, well, I definitely haven't been playing Flow for the past 3 hours. Or like, what was the other thing? I see it when I close my eyes. Like when I'm like laying down trying to go to bed, or like just when my eyes are closed, I see Flow and I start trying to like work out puzzles in my head, and it's really, really bad. I really need to stop. Yeah, so those are user submitted questions, but Cal actually has something to share with us this week.
Woohoo. So, I apparently, this is how my mother told me this story, but we had a raffle or something in my grade 7-8 year of elementary school, and I guess my name got picked, and we could choose between a Best Buy gift card, a bunch of other things, and then this family dinner box of questions. And apparently I picked this, and it just kind of collected dust for a while. And my mother, since the basement flooded, I think I might have talked about that, my mother's been trying to clean everything out so we can sell some stuff, and basically reorganizing everything. So she found this and gave it to me really disappointedly. And the first thing that I thought when I saw it is, oh, Misty ran out of table topics. And look, this is basically table topics. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what came over me when I picked this instead of that gift card, but I feel like I had some futuristic vision that I would need them one day, and that day has come. So,
yeah, it has.
So, yeah. Alright, so I'll pick one. They all have, like, apple pies on them. It's shaped like a ice cream pie tin type of thing, and now I'm kind of hungry. So, okay. What is your fondest memory of a family summer vacation?
Oh boy. Oh geez.
I don't remember the last time I went on vacation.
Yeah, we don't take vacations that often. Let me think.
Maybe Hawaii.
You went to Hawaii?
Yes.
I guess that's not as much of a trip for you as it is.
It's still quite of a trip.
Yeah.
It's still like a 5-hour flight.
Yeah.
It takes as much time to get from here to Hawaii as it takes to get here to New York. And the only reason we went was because our grandparents had a timeshare there, and they just allowed us to stay there. But that trip was like in 2007 or 2006. I was in high school still, I know that much, but that was a fun trip just because I've never been to Hawaii, but it was it was neat, and it was really weird being on an island where you can kind of just circle around within 2 or 3 hours. And it was like, oh, we drove around the entire island. I guess we'll stop for the day. The only other one I would probably... Actually, when I'm thinking about it, I haven't really taken a lot of trips in general, like even before that, because the only other trip I took before that was like to Rhode Island, of all places. I have family there, but that was pretty neat, but I was also like in 5th grade when that happened, so I don't remember a lot of my time in Rhode Island, and I think I went to Boston for a little bit as well.
When I guess I was probably 13 or 14 at the time, because my half-sister was born and alive and, like, kind of talking a little bit, but she wasn't old. I went to a dude ranch.
That's okay.
That's a statement that not many people can say, and honestly, like, most people don't know what a dude ranch is, I don't think, aside from a really good Blink-182 album.
I was just about to mention that, actually.
That's my favorite Blink-182 album, so, but, yeah, so I went to a dude ranch with my dad and my stepmom and my step-siblings and my half-sister and my real sisters, and, we were trapped there for a week on property. You weren't allowed to leave the property. They had really terrible food, and you had to do these, like, togetherness events, and it was just really horrible. Like, you had to ride horses, and...
Sounds like a great vacation.
And, well, I'll get to it. And, like, they tried teaching you how to water ski, and my dad is, like, a really good water skier, apparently. And so he was, like, showing off, and then nobody else could do it, and we just felt really bad about ourselves. Back then I used to drink a lot of soda, and they didn't have any soda on the premises, so I was having, like, caffeine withdrawal the entire time, and the bagels were really shitty, so probably leaving there is my best summer family vacation experience.
Wow.
Like, not having to be there anymore.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't really take, like, vacations.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you go places at least.
Yeah, I guess. So, like, the
sometimes.
thing that came to mind was, like, when I missed the podcast episode, I went upstate with my boyfriend, and, I go upstate, like, kind of often because my family has property up there, and we just kind of chill, and that was a really nice experience going up with them. I guess it doesn't count as a family vacation, but whatever.
That's true.
Yeah, it was just, like, a lot of fun and magical and stuff, so, you know, that is my answer. Plus the Dude Ranch thing.
Plus the Dude Ranch thing.
Crowley or Cal?
It was a dark summer night that day in... I don't have one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not a very interesting person, so I don't really have these good stories. Well, I'm sure there are, but they're probably like really buried away somewhere deep and like dark.
Okay.
Cal, what do you have?
We used to go on Disney cruises every year until I think just grade 7 of my schooling because of dance competitions. I don't think we went anymore. But those were always lots of fun. And oh, Misty, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just sneezing.
It's okay.
Trying to be subtle about it.
No, I'm sorry.
But yeah, those were always a lot of fun. And I mean, the last one we went on, it's kind of sad because I really would like to go back. But I probably won't until I'm on my own and able to just go on the cruises by myself, which is apparently 21, which I thought was kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And one of the things that I remember most is that in the teen-ish area that they had is that they had video games and stuff, and so they had Kingdom Hearts in there.
Oh,
and
man.
Me being like a giant Kingdom Hearts fan, like when I was in there, I would be like yelling at people, telling them what to do, and I also made friends over that, and
you also made friends.
Yes, I also made friends by yelling at them. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to be able to not only do like the cruise stuff, like see the shows and all that, but also to actually hang out with some friends that year, because obviously, you know, I had made some in the previous years, but it's hard to kind of convince other parents to let them take your kids somewhere, because for the younger clubs, you can't leave by yourself, so it's not like we could have gone and hung out or something, but I mean, it's always a lot of fun on the Disney cruises, and I hope that we can go back. And it's funny, because a lot of the cast members remember us, because we went at the same time for most of our trips, so even, like, the face characters would be like, Kaylin and Jaden! I haven't seen you in such a long time! Welcome back! And it would always just, it would be special, because they would remember us, and it's always just, it's so cute. I love my Disney cruises, but yeah, I have fond memories on those, because they're so much fun.
See, I'm afraid of cruise ships, because as a child, I watched Speed 2 Cruise Control, and that just kind of
I forgot there was a sequel to that.
Oh my god, there shouldn't have been, first of all.
I know, that's maybe why I forgot about it.
And I mean, Keanu Reeves wasn't even in it, I don't think. Was
yeah,
Sandra Bullock even in it?
I don't think anybody was in it. I think that's maybe why I forgot about it.
No,
I think it was just
Sandra Bullock was in it.
I thought they were both in it.
Keanu Reeves definitely wasn't. It was some, like, new guy that was supposed to be, like, replacing Keanu Reeves, which was such bullshit, because...
How could you replace Keanu Reeves?
I know.
Patrick.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but yeah, so that like, terrified me of cruise ships, and it's like, if I did go on a cruise ship, I would obviously go on a Disney cruise, because I love Disney so much, and the 21 thing is probably just because they have to, like, abide by international rules regarding drinking, and that is the drinking age in America, But, so I probably would go on to a Disney one, but I don't know, just, like, the concept freaks me out of being, like, trapped on a boat with the same people, and, like, plus I also read a lot about when that, Carnival ship, like, broke down in the middle of, like, the Gulf of Mexico, and nobody could get off because nobody had passports, so they were, like, stuck there, and, like, the ceiling started raining poop and, like, that kind of thing, so... I feel a little afraid of cruise ships.
I've never been on a cruise before. Actually, I think my parents have been on one before, but it wasn't like in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico area. It was actually up north towards Alaska.
Oh yeah, people do go on those, like the Nova Scotia ones and that.
Yeah, like they stopped at Vancouver and then they kind of got back on and went towards Alaska and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't know.
I'm also really antisocial, and I feel like the point of cruise ships is to like mingle,
socialize,
with other people, and I wouldn't want to do that. So
that is very true.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you, but I don't know. Once I get on the cruise, you just
like go into a different mode.
Exactly. It's like
maybe
it's
that would
a
happen.
changing experience.
Like we talked about that with the podcast, that like I consider myself an antisocial person, but then like with the podcast I'm like talking to people all the time, so I don't know.
Disney just brings it out of you, man.
Yeah, I guess I should like just go on a cruise ship once in my life just to like experience it. Obviously not like right now because I can't afford it, but that's
At some point, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so that wraps up our questions. And once again, you can submit a question to the KH-Vids Podcast by filling out the form links to every episode of the podcast or send an email to podcast@KH-Vids.Net. To talk a little bit about community news, Cycle 4 of the User Awards is, I think, still going on. That does mean that the User Awards is wrapping up. So get your votes in and look forward to seeing the winners announced soon. Yay. And we talked a little bit about this on the last episode, but we are thinking about and probably going to change the way that we handle member guests, because if you didn't notice, we didn't have a member guest on this episode. So
we did have one last time, though.
Yeah, we did.
So give us that.
So we do want to change our system for taking member guests on the podcast. What we'll probably do is that when you fill out the form to be a member guest, and I guess we'll like just add everybody that has already filled out the form to the group, you'll get access to a special section where we will post like, okay, this is the podcast that we're doing this week, and this is the topic, this is the time, all of that, and just say like who would like to participate, and then you can post and say like, I'm available, I want to be there, and we'll choose somebody based on, like who has been on the podcast more recently, like who's active on the forums, that kind of thing, and do that. And so it sounds like it'll be a better system. It will, of course, require people to check the section.
The form.
Yeah, we did.
The section.
I did mention last time that like you can always subscribe to it by email if you don't check the forums all that often. You'll just get like email updates of like, hey, we're looking for a guest. Come check it out, see if you can do it. So that is an option for people that are not like necessarily active on the forums but still would like to be on the podcast. And yeah, so let us know what you think about that system, if you think it would work for you and that kind of thing. Please.
Please.
Yeah. Any other community news you guys want to mention?
I just have Game of the Month for September.
Yep.
We're finally getting to that point where all the video games are coming out again.
All the video games.
Yes, every single one of them.
Except for Final Fantasy 15.
That'll never get out. But yeah, there's polls up now. My personal vote for this month is Metal Gear Solid 5 because I'm tempted to say Metal Gear Solid is probably one of my favorite video game series ever, and having the fifth and final one being directed by Kojima is just it's going to be really weird not looking forward to another one. Like it's just weird that like hit the trailer he's going to be putting out soon for the launch of that game. It'll be the last Kojima edited Metal Gear Solid trailer.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought that they were going to be continuing it without Kojima, but maybe,
they will be. But
maybe you're saying that as like this is the last one that I'll play and pay attention to because it won't have Kojima.
Yeah, Kojima is Metal Gear. I don't really care. What people say. Like he's always been the writer and director and creative. He has like 6 or 7 like important roles accredited to him for each game. So, like, for me, Metal Gear Solid is Kojima, and without having him there, and how he's being like tossed to the side by Konami is like, this is the final Metal Gear, and I'm like, it's really weird not having that to look forward to anymore. 28 years in the making. It's really weird. But yeah, that's coming out next month. There's a few other stuff, like the Mad Max game is coming out next month. The Tony Hawk game is coming out next month.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's a few stuff coming out next month, which that's kind of opening the floodgates for October, where there's a shit ton of stuff coming out.
And November, where Battlefront
and Tomb Raider and Fallout and
Tomb Raider isn't coming out until next year, Nick. What are you talking about?
That is true. But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff. We're finally leaving the summer doldrums of nothing coming out, and we're finally getting stuff coming out again. But yeah. Vote now. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 is in the lead by quite a bit, but still vote because we still need a second and third place thing.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, that wraps up episode number 103 of the KH-Vids Podcast. Like I said, you can participate in the podcast by submitting a user-submitted question. You can apply to be a member guest on the KH-Vids Podcast by filling out the form linked to that episode of the podcast. All you need is a Skype account, a microphone, and headphones, and we'd love to have you. You can submit a topics to the KH-Vids Podcast by filling out the form linked in the sticky in the podcast section. Tell us what you want us to do a spoiler cast about, what you want to hear us talk about, anything like that. And then, of course, just leave a comment on the podcast episode telling us where you're at with your schooling, what you're looking forward to the next school year, your best and worst school experiences, your tips for other students, that kind of thing. Talk to us, let us know what you think, and answer our user-submitted questions. So that about concludes episode number 103 of the KH-Vids Podcast. Thank you all for listening, and have a Kingdom Hearts day.